talk about how the team's getting ready and how practice went yesterday for you guys.
Yeah, you know, it's that time of year that's a little unique in the Big Ten, where you take a deep breath and you remove yourself from non-conference play, and you have to really focus in on and understanding it regardless of what time of the year you play this game. You know, it really means a lot. And you know, going to 20 games this year, you know, the one in December, although you're probably not as good as you're going to be in January and February, but this is a huge game for us on Saturday. And Northwestern's very good, very well coached, have great size, very organized offensively, tough to guard, and defensively they are very good. They're big, they can pack the paint, and they're off to a great start. For us, obviously returning home from a disappointing performance earlier in the week at Duke, you know, really had a great workout yesterday, probably our best practice in a long time, partly because I think everybody was there and engaged, and hopefully we have another one today, and at 1 o'clock tomorrow we got to be ready to go.
Okay, open up for questions, Mike.
When you say everyone was at practice, does that include Race, or is that you're just talking maybe Devontae?
No, guys available for practice. Jerome and Race are still out indefinitely with no timetable, dealing with their 2 injuries, and everybody else was full go participation. We had good practice, and I think the guys felt good about practice as well. And you know, for us, we had to string another one together today and kind of get back to who we are.
Excuse me. When was the last time you had a full practice, like just full team? I mean, have you had one since the start of the preseason?
That's a good question. No, I would say there's always been at least 1 to 2 out since the beginning of November, late October, and pretty much every game since. I think we've had upwards of as many as 5 or 4, and as least amount as 2. So when I look at it, if we have Jerome and Race sort of on the shelf right now, that's a full practice for us. So that was yesterday, and maybe partly before we went to Duke. So we've had our full team together here for the last couple, but you know, hopefully today will go well and we can continue with that.
How does that maybe just affect chemistry when you guys are on the court, when you just haven't had a full practice, guys, and you're kind of mixing and matching rotations and stuff like that?
It has. It's you know, any coach will tell you that one body down in practice changes the course of the plan. As many as a couple really changes the course of a plan. So we haven't been a great in sync group, you know, really since you know, I would say our Marquette game going into Arkansas. We started to have some struggles with the practices. And then we kind of put a couple together here and there. Not that we're not working hard. It's just, you know, you got to play. You know, you have to be able to play 5-on-5. You need to be able to do some things, you know, consistently every day to get better. And you know, like I said, no excuses, but it is what it is. The hand we're kind of working with. But yesterday was a good practice. It was a really good workout for our guys. I think we got a lot done, and you know, hopefully we got a little better.
With Zach and Devontae specifically, Devontae was able to get 20 minutes, and I think Zach played 16 against Duke. Do you have an idea as far as whether their availability will be restricted going forward?
I don't think their availability will be restricted going forward. It's not fair to those 2 guys to evaluate them, obviously, with their first game back in Cameron Indoor. That's a tough first day back, you know, when you've taken 3 weeks off conditioning-wise. We really haven't done anything with the ball, but it was good to get them out there, and I think that you know, that's the first step. But there won't be any restrictions unless it's obviously something that arises. But I think those guys are committed to going right now, and full practice yesterday. So you know, they just got to get their rhythm back and their conditioning back.
It seemed like against both Duke and Arkansas, they were able to kind of take you out of what you wanted to do with their pace. How do you avoid kind of getting sped up against those types of teams in the future? That's
a good question. I mean, we have to be better organized. As a coach, I got to do a better job of really being a lot more sharp in terms of, you know, what we're trying to get done in the half court, not so much as the full court. But without question, the two teams on the road that gave us the most pressure really dictated the game for the most part. Arkansas, to a lesser extent, Duke was in overdrive most of the game in terms of what they were trying to do with us, and got us out of sync. Never really had an opportunity to even get our feet on the ground. So, you know, it's a learning experience. You know, it's November. You know, I can remember a lot of teams that we've been with, even teams that I played on, that you don't even remember the ACC Big Ten Challenge game come February, so long ago. But you know, hopefully these opportunities make us better. We played pretty difficult schedule to date, and it will get harder here in December. So we're going to need to be better. Most importantly, learning our team and understanding how we have to coach them better as well.
Archie, haven't had time to maybe go back and watch the film from the Duke game now. Is there something that maybe stands out that you maybe didn't notice in the real time there on Tuesday night?
It's hard, I just think in general, we were really, I wouldn't say soft, but we were really slow to loose balls, deflected passes, offensive rebounds that they get. It just seemed like we were on the ground and they were in the air. And part of that is, you're kind of taken back by the early start and getting hit in the face, and being able to respond to that was tough to deal with, just in terms of all the 50-50 plays in the game that they were quicker to them, and they counted too. They scored on them, they made us pay. That was disappointing. Offensively, you have to take it as the game goes. That you probably have never seen that or felt that type of pressure before in that environment. You have some guys like Rob Finney and those guys going into their second road game, and that's what they were dealing with. So, a lot of it was, just due to the fact that I think we were taken over by their overwhelming pressure, on both ends of the floor. They applied so much pressure on us on both ends to be great at all levels, and we just weren't good at any of them, and that's why the result was what it was. And we can take the turnovers and we can take certain guys and start to really, obviously try to clean those things up, because right now we're turning the ball over too much. It's our biggest Achilles heel early in this season, is we just have too many guys turning the ball over right now. So we got to get better at that. Defensively, as long as we keep working at it, and we keep having great, practice days and whatnot, I think we'll continue to get better defensively. Duke's a difficult cover, I think, for anyone. But there are some things that we can clearly, start demanding and get a little bit better at. Northwestern's going to pose a lot of challenges on us as well. They don't start a player or play a player really smaller than 6'4", and at times they won't have a guy on the floor any smaller than 6'6". So, again, they're going to present some challenges for us as well.
Kind of going off that, it seemed like Duke's switching was able to kind of take away some of that separation off of those pick and rolls. Do you look at anything kind of adjustment-wise moving forward with that?
Yeah, we got to be better at creating a little bit more action. Maybe more in the middle of the floor and doing some things where we have the floor a little bit more wide open, so we can take on the switches a little bit better. I think one of the things that was really evident with the switching was our guards were timid off the ball screen. When you recognize there is switching going on over the course of a game, you have to really start to recognize as a player who's coming off to be aggressive and to take those big guys on sometimes. And we didn't do a good job of that. So we'll continue to work on that. Again, very few teams can apply that type of not only pressure, but that type of quickness as well. I mean, it was a tough game for us to play in, and it'll make us better down the road.
What did you like about yesterday's practice? And it gets that 1-2-2 full court. What should you have done better in that Tuesday night?
Yesterday's practice was good because I just thought we had a lot of guys, really treating the practice as if it was a game. Coming off a tough loss, what you want is you want guys that want to get back in the gym. We had that. We also had, our full allotment of rotation guys in practice, where we had the ability to play longer against one another with substitutions and whatnot. We were able to really, put two teams on the floor that going against one another was very competitive. So I like that. The extended pressure, especially on Tuesday, we could have done a much better job of being able to go from getting the ball across half court and doing a better job of getting organized. At times it's feast or famine when you kind of get in that up and down game and the press is on. The next thing you know, you have a lane. You got to make a good decision, and instead of driving the ball and missing it, or driving the ball and turning it over, sometimes it's just a little bit better to get it across, tuck it under, and let's get organized a little bit. And I think that's the biggest thing with our team right now, is having everybody in sync with a call or a unit on the floor, or what we're trying to do once we get it across. All five guys got to be in sync, and I think we worked as a staff very hard yesterday to really communicate some things to our players during practice on how, what, and why, and I think they'll get better at it.
Yeah, we know about Vic Law, and part of those guys have been around for a while. Vic looks healthy now. These guys have played really well. You got a couple of transfers though. They got Ryan Taylor in from Evansville. They got AJ Turner in from Boston College. What do you see about what have those guys added to the Northwestern game?
Well, they've added skill and size. AJ obviously is a unique player. He's a ball handling point forward, so to speak, for him with good size. You know, he's played in the ACC, so he's got experience. He can score the ball around the basket. He's a good shooter. Ryan Taylor brings a very, very high level shooter and skill level player to the game. And Chris does a great job with his offense and being able to get those guys in positions where they can get shots. So it's concerning. You know, Ryan's a great three-point shooter, as is Vic. And those two guys, if they get it going, can really present some problems. They're also really two of their primary ball handlers at that type of size as well. So it's a unique team to play against with their spacing and how they're playing really out of a two-guard front to alleviate, some of the pressure that, without a true point guard, so to speak, you deal with. So they've really kind of negated that. And in the half court, they do a really good job.
It was a tougher night for Romeo the other night, but how has he kind of responded to that, both in watching film and working in practice?
He was good yesterday. He was very good in practice yesterday, engaged. Romeo's a learner. Romeo's a guy that's coachable. It's not like he's going in and out of games and not paying attention to his own game or his own improvements or what he needs to work on. It was a tough game for everybody in that game on Tuesday night. I can honestly say, from the head coach all the way to the players, there wasn't very many guys who were really impactful in the game. And Romeo competed in the game for the most part. It's a tough place to play. Thought he could have probably gotten to the foul line even a few more times. He did draw 8 fouls, which was a good thing to see. But he was good in practice yesterday. He was back competing, playing, and I think with another good day today, he'll be ready.
Okay, last question, Dustin.
All right, kind of just to talk about freshmen. You mentioned Rob earlier, and it being his second road game in that kind of environment, what he was going through. What do you think he learned from having to deal with that kind of defense, and what do you think he can gain from that experience?
Can't be reserved with the ball. Can't be safe. There's at times you have to be safe with it. But Rob needs to be more aggressive with his speed. He needs more aggression with his pace, with his game, because he's a sturdy guy. He can get by people. And I thought just in the game in general, when you deal with that type of pressure, you deal with that type of switching, you can't all of a sudden kind of stop, pick it up, look around for somebody to help you out. You got to keep that thing alive. You got to make plays, and you got to be more aggressive to get more downhill versus some of that stuff. And I think just in listening to him and watching some film with him, he knows that he's got to be more aggressive with the ball in his hands when he's dealing with that type of environment, that type of pressure, and I think that will play well as we get ready to go into the Big Ten. And he's a guy that I think has shown he can really play. I think he's also shown right now that he's having to learn how to play against different types of coverages and whatnot. For a young guard, that's not easy to do. The reads and some of the things that are normally there aren't there. How do you play after the play is something where he's got to be a little bit more downhill oriented. He's got to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of that and make people better. He's got to make the paint a priority at times with that. Not overdo it, but he's got to be a guy that can make some things happen when things aren't going as well for our team. And working with him on that here over the next month or so will be big.
All right, Coach.
All right.
Yep.